ladies and gentlemen. So today's subject is how to prevent the drop-ins from becoming dropouts. I'm curious to know how many drop-ins you get in a week, so if you can also type that into the chat box, approximately how many drop-ins per week that you have, that'd be a great way for us to have a better understanding as to who we're working with today. So without further ado, let's get into it. First thing I want to talk about is what causes the dropout in the first place, and let me define what I mean by that. A dropout is someone who comes in, they take one class, and they never return. So, first cause is the first experience was not what they were looking for. In other words, they didn't get enough personal attention, and that's why they didn't come back. Another cause, which tends to be the more popular reason, is they did enjoy their first class. I mean, we teach awesome classes, right? We give everyone attention, but these people sometimes need a little bit more motivation to keep coming back, and no one's following up with them. So they have a great experience. They go away from that day feeling the effects of their endorphins, or they had a great sweat, they feel a little bit more mobility and blood circulation, all those great things that yoga creates happen, but 3 days later, it's a forgotten experience. The life thing kind of gets back in the way, and all of a sudden, that's the end of it. One last reason we can't really do much about is they weren't serious to start with. Maybe they don't live here, they were just in the area and they decided to take a class, so we're not going to sign up people that live out of state or out of province, or that other group of people that are just Grouponing it, you know, they just go from discount to discount to discount and they're not really going to commit to anything. Can't do much about that group. So what's the best solution for the first two that we can affect? Well, it's pretty simple. Don't offer drop-ins or single class classes to start with. I mean, that is where the lack of commitment takes place. One of my colleagues, Jason Campbell, says if you don't want to have dropouts, don't have drop-ins. Well, that's not really helpful, is it, right now? Because for many of us, this may be too big of a change to make right now to the way that we're functioning. So what can we do? Let's break it down. Collect and organize information about each drop-in. Okay, what I mean by that is each person that comes through the doors, we want to collect and organize some specific information about them so we can first enhance the personal touch with their first experience and follow up regularly with every drop-in. So let's break it down what we mean by this, okay? The first experience. Now, almost every studio I've ever talked to already has some kind of waiver or guest registration form in place. It's pretty standard for people to come in. It's their first time. You ask them to fill out a little bit of information either for insurance purposes or other purposes, but you have them fill out something. If you don't, please start. You can email me at the end and I'll send you a template that you can use. Now, for those of you already doing this, I just need to make sure that your waiver or your guest registration form is leaving room to ask the people coming in, what is their main interest in yoga? All right, what was their goal or their objective? Are they coming to you because they want to lose weight? Are they coming to you because they just heard it was a great activity and they're curious about the fad? Are they coming to you for stress relief? Was it prescribed to them by a doctor? Who knows? But we have to ask them that. Best way to do that is have a couple places with some check boxes beside it and then leave a room for other where they would fill in what it was. Next up, it's not really for a waiver or a guest registration form necessarily, but it should definitely be on that paper, and it can be put on that paper quite intelligently. How did they hear about you? All right, was it a friend that told them? Were they referred? Did they see a Google ad that you had online? Were they just that person that's walked by your studio enough times that they just finally decided to take the plunge and come in? How did they hear about you? It's got to ask that. It's really simple, but some people miss this one. Their birthday. All right, their birthday can play a really key role in bringing people back in the event that they kind of fall off the map. We can always put together really cool birthday offers, and if you're not doing yoga birthday parties yet, you definitely want to do some more research on the benefits of doing a group introductory disguise as a birthday party. We can definitely help you with that. Last but certainly not least, definitely you want to ask any current injuries, and I put in there in brackets, it doesn't matter how minor those injuries are. All right, if anything, phrase it on this waiver or this guest registration form. Is there anything currently bothering you? Not necessarily an injury, but injuries, please do put them down. Something to that effect. If they stubbed their toe 2 days ago, we want to know about that. If they got just a slightly stiff shoulder, we want to know about it. These are the things that will help us add a personal touch each time we interact with them. Now let's talk about enhancing the personal touch. Not everyone will be able to fit this into the way that they're currently operating, but this is what I feel would be best if you can possibly fit it in. What I want you to do is make sure that every drop-in student, every single person that comes in and just buys a single class pass, has a 5 to 10 minute post-class interview, preferably with your front desk, because they should be available the most out of all your staff. If you don't have a front desk, whoever the teacher is on deck at that time. Let's talk about this a little bit further. Here's an example approach. First things first, they come in, they're expecting to just be able to pay that drop-in fee and jump right into class. That's not how it can work. You need to slow down that just a little bit. I don't care if your lobby gets absolutely packed. You must pre-frame them before they jump into class, that after class they need to come and see you. That's it. I just need you to come in and talk to us after class for a brief moment. We want a little bit of feedback, and we have to do a quick post-class interview. It's just studio policy, okay? Then, once the class is in session, someone needs to manage the list of the people who are first-timers for that class. So whoever the drop-ins are, if there's 3 or 4 or only 1, we need to know who they are and what their names are, so that when that rush comes out after that class and then another rush comes in with the people going into the next class, we have a way to intelligently call those people to the front just in case they're either dodging us for that post-class interview or they've forgotten about it because they had such a great class from such a great teacher that you have on staff. Then, once the class is out of session, we need to conduct those post-class interviews, all right? And in brackets, I've tried to make it really clear, it has to be all about them. We're not going to talk about all the wonderful offers we have. We're not going to talk about how long our studio has been around. We're not going to talk about all our credentials. None of that stuff. What we want to talk about is them, okay? What are their goals physically? What are their goals mentally and spiritually? Why did they come to you? If they're not sure, let's have a quick chat about reasons why they may have thought about doing something different in their life. One way or another, get to know more about them, okay? And as a result of that, we are, in a sense, wellness consultants, correct? I mean, we're not just teaching poses, we're changing lives. It's your job to be able to provide a clear direction that they can take to dedicate energy towards their well-being. Translated, what we want to do is learn just enough about them so that we can suggest kind of like almost a treatment plan for their wellness, a treatment plan for not getting too busy with life and forgetting about taking good care of themselves. Whether that would be coming to your studio once a week, twice a week, every single day, depending on what kind of person they are and what their goals and objectives are, you provide to them a clear direction as to what membership or which type of pass would be best to fit their lifestyle. That's it. Now, a lot of people say there's no way we can manage that. You know, we're just simply too busy to have these post-class interviews. It's not going to happen. That's not how our studio operates. Well, I got a couple questions for you. Ask yourself, what are you busy with? If you only have one person at the front being the teacher that's about to teach class and you don't have a front desk person during your peak busy times, is that intelligent? Would it be worth it to pay someone a small hourly rate to be there to greet your first timers and give them personal attention so that they come back? Think about how much revenue we can create. And when I speak about revenue, please don't misunderstand me that I'm talking from a corporate standpoint of how we can increase the bottom line. I'm talking about revenue as a tool for you to build the awareness in your community about what you can do for people. That was your original dharma. That was your original purpose of opening a studio, was to provide people with the same things that you've experienced, right? You wanted to share with them the benefits of what you teach. Well, revenue is the best tool to do that. So if you're too busy to take good care of the people that walk through your doors for the first time, you really need to consider what you're busy with and make sure that that's more important. Chances are it's not. If it is, can someone else do the post interviews? Can someone else do whatever it is you're too busy with? It's worth it to have this person in place to make sure everyone who leaves their very first class has a post-class interview. Why? The return is just huge. I mean, as long as you have a decent amount of drop-ins, which I'm assuming you do, otherwise why are you watching this webinar? This is one of the best things you can do as an immediate change, and hence the reason I asked you, what kind of things are you thinking to change in the new year? This would be one of them. Okay, on to the second item. Now, let's just get past the whole post-class interview. Let's say no matter how well we do with the post-class interview, or if we don't do it at all, the next thing that we can do to try and bring the drop-ins who become dropouts back down to the studio is create follow-ups, okay? Follow-ups with drop-ins that didn't buy another pass after the class, if they're just not happening, that's one of the main things we've got to change. Here's the usual suspects that cause this situation. First off, people are busy. Why would we want to follow up with someone who's already busy with their life? We don't want to pester them. We want to teach yoga. Okay, I understand exactly what you're saying. Next up, you are busy. I have more important things to do than sit there on the phone or sit there behind the computer and send emails or make phone calls to each and every single person that ever comes into my studio and doesn't come back. Okay, that's another one of the main reasons why this stuff doesn't happen. Last but not least, specific follow-up sequence is not in place to follow up at all. Basically what I'm saying is you've tried it, but it didn't really make a difference, and you kind of have this, shall we say, on and off approach where sometimes you're doing it and sometimes you're not. If it's not consistent, that's another reason why eventually it just kind of disappears, and maybe we'll try it again next year for a month and then we'll get away from it and back and forth. So what can I do? First thing you can do to reverse this trend is make it easy on yourself to store the information that is needed to conduct a quality follow-up. What I'm saying is that whole thing about not wanting to bother people, well, it's not bothering or pestering if you have something of value to communicate. And you need to have information about people to communicate something specific to them that has a value, something they'll appreciate receiving. Next thing you can do is automate the follow-ups based on this information. Okay? If you're too busy, that's what a computer is for. That is what your staff is for. There are ways to automate this based on specific information, and we'll get into that. Last thing you can do is analyze and refine as needed. All right? Start a follow-up process, collect the information you need to do it, get a tool to automate it, and then analyze if it's working or not and make the changes as needed. It's not one of those things that we can say, well, I tried it and it didn't work. No, the way we tried it was not a way that will work for us, and we need to keep trying other ways to make it work. If every single time someone tried a new pose and they couldn't get it, and they just turned around and said, well, this pose doesn't work for me, what would you say to them? Well, that's what I'm saying to you about follow-ups right now. Okay, so storing the information. Why is it so important? Well, we already said it. Uneducated follow-ups are annoying. How many times have you had a telemarketer call you and ask you if your name was Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so? Well, if they're not even sure if they've got the right phone number, that right there is not really the best impression. Well, when we're following up, whether it's by email or by telephone, we really need to know our stuff. We need to know a lot about these people in order for them to put us on the other side of the coin, which is someone who's truly reaching out with a valuable message who actually cares about them. You have to communicate that through your follow-up. If there's not an earnest and genuine care where you know specific things about them and you're providing them with a specific follow-up, then you're most likely going to be considered annoying just like everyone else. Okay, so where do I store all this information? If any of you have a big, huge day planner or a book where each person who comes in, you write down their name and a little bit about them, and then, you know, if I asked you what were your drop-ins like for the last 2 weeks, you would have to flip through 20 pages. My question to you is, what would happen if someone spilled a cup of tea on that? What would happen if you lost it? That's just not how we want to operate. You want to put it in a software system. It's just essential. Now, moving on to automating the follow-ups. Based on the information that we put in the software, what we want is to have a series of personal pre-written emails that will go out to them automatically. Okay, that's the key. We're going to create a series that will go out, first one, second one, third one. And by personal, I mean not everyone gets the same one. That cannot be the case. If we're going to send the same thing to everybody, don't bother. Don't bother. Spend your time on something else. Go to a retreat. Go outside and start yelling to people about the benefits of yoga. You're going to have more success doing something like that than sending people blanket emails. They're just going to be upset with you in the end. So what kind of emails do we want to send once we have this series ready to go? What kind of information do we want to put into it? Okay. The first thing is keep it informative. All right? Provide them with tips for their second visit. You know? Ask them questions like, did you experience any discomfort in your first class? It's really common. Don't worry about it. Here's some things you can do to prevent feeling uncomfortable in your second class. Think about it. If they just came in without calling, or maybe they filled out a little bit of information on your website and no one really got a chance to contact them and they came down, no one really knows how comfortable they are and if they've ever been given any advice for their first visit. You know, some people are not aware of the etiquette of going to a yoga class, and when they get in there, they feel really awkward the first time. I know I did. So let's provide them with some tips for the next time they come down to eliminate some of the things they're not familiar with and remove those fears. Let's create a positive association with coming back. Next up, articles. And no, you don't need to write them as long as you cite who the author is. If you do write them, it's that much better because typically people are drawn to educators. They like to be around people who have interesting knowledge to share. But if you're not the kind of person that feels or has the ability to write articles that you're proud of, don't worry about it. Find an article that you enjoyed reading. Find an article that maybe you read when you were first getting into yoga and share that with others. Documentaries are huge. Go on YouTube. There's thousands of them. Tons of great documentaries talking about the evolution of wellness teaching and yoga and all kinds of great things. Share one of those videos. People love to watch videos. There's a saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. So grab a YouTube link and throw it in that email. Anything to get them talking. At best, they might write back something like, this is really great, I'll see you guys soon. At worst, they might write something back like, thanks so much for sharing. Either way, create a dialogue around good information. Now, I said kits there. The kits can be something that's online. Example, a kit on how to improve blood circulation, on how to improve your flexibility in your lower back. Just a couple exercises they can do at work. A couple exercises they can do just before they go to sleep. A couple tips on things that they can eat to improve, their overall energy level and their I can't even say that word today, but vitalization. Reports are great too. Sometimes taking kind of a less personal approach and providing a report on, there was a study where out of 100 people surveyed that took yoga, 20 of them reported an improvement in this, 30 of them reported improvement in that. But provide information. I'm maybe getting a little too deep into this. I think you get my point. Next up is my favorite one. Do a reality series style email. Here's what I'm talking about. Why is reality TV so popular? Why did it have such a blow up? Well, because there were people that were featured were real, and the audience viewing could connect with the people that were featured. So your best asset are your current students. Why? Because each of you have students from all walks of life. And if we're able to get even just a 60-second video where a person from different walks of life talks about what were the benefits, what was the transformation they underwent as a result of coming to your studio, they're bound to connect with someone that receives that email. Someone out there is bound to say, hey, I'm kind of like that, or hey, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Okay. Anything to inspire the I can do it feeling is what we're trying to do. So put together some videos of your students. It costs you nothing. You can do it on a flip cam. You can do it on an iPhone. You can borrow a friend's iPhone if you don't have one. But shoot a couple of videos where you just ask people a couple questions about, what were their original fears or hesitances about coming to their first class, and what, as a result of coming, what is the changes that have happened in their life, and what are the benefits. Just get them talking. Okay, next up, you do have to send out some offers, all right? If we simply flood them only with informative emails or videos about our students talking about how awesome classes are and that kind of stuff, you're kind of missing the opportunity to create action. We do need to put calls to action in our emails, and from time to time, throw in offers with a deadline, okay? Your 10 punch pass is on special up until this date. Your 1 month unlimited is on special up until this date. If you come back, we'll give you a free yoga mat inclusive with your next purchase. Whatever it is, put in some offers with deadlines. I jumped over one there. Join the conversation. All I'm talking about there is pointing them to your Facebook page. But you got to be somewhat aware of what is on your Facebook page at the time. If you don't have any conversations going on, having this email on autopilot is not a good idea. However, if you get a good post going, you know how it is. From time to time, you put up a quote, or you put up a question, or you put up a video or a photo, and a bunch of people comment and respond. All right? If you get one of those on a roll, it's not a bad idea to just do a one-off email to all the people that have only been down to your studio once and haven't come back and said, hey, we've got a great little conversation going on our Facebook page right now, and we'd love if you would join in and provide your thoughts. Simple as that. At the bottom there, I put in mix it up. Okay, what I'm talking about is don't send 3 informative emails in a row, don't send 3 testimonials in a row, don't send 3 go to our Facebook page in a row, and definitely don't send 3 offers in a row. You have to mix it up. It's just a game of changing things up, paper, rock, scissors. And remember, NBC. This is a little bit harsh, but it's true. Nobody cares about you. They don't want to hear about you. Okay? Your list of credentials, where you're going, the retreat you're hosting, how amazing your studio is. No one cares unless someone else is saying it. So if your students are saying it, that's fantastic. All right? But if it's you simply writing in first person about, 10 reasons to come down to your yoga studio versus someone else's, just don't even bother. Nobody cares about what you have to say about yourself. Not until they get to know you, right? Okay. We're almost done on automating the follow-ups here. So we now know what kind of content we want to put in the emails. Now we have to talk about how we're going to structure the email lists to go out to the people that came in as a drop-in and haven't been back yet. What I suggest you separate the lists based on, first, how did they hear of you? This changes things, okay? If they heard about you through a friend, we can talk to them in a much more intimate fashion. Why? Because we already have kind of a buddy that can communicate the benefits for us. We know each and every email we send them, if they open and read it, they might ask their friend that's already coming to our studio about it. That way, we know we can come with a much more intimate approach. Let's say they heard of you simply through going to your website. Okay, well, it's a little more impersonal. This is where we really need to provide additional information. We need to wow them because we don't have the connection with them, and we don't have that friend that can refer them and say, no, everything they're saying is totally true. You should go back. All right, so think about that. What are the different ways people hear about your studio that take action and bring them down? And from there, we need to build lists based on those different ways they would have heard of you, because it does change things. Next thing we want to use is a way to separate the lists in combination, okay? All this stuff is working in combination. The next thing is their main interest in yoga. This really changes things, and you already know that, but I got to cover this. If somebody is interested in yoga because they want to become a teacher one day, and they're thinking about your teacher training, they're just kind of kicking the tire, and they only took one class, well, then we've got to communicate in terms of all the benefits of becoming a teacher, of course. If somebody's coming to you because they're already an athlete and they're just cross-training, well, we need to send emails talking about the benefits of having yoga as a foundation to prevent injury, to increase core strength, to do all the things that will help them achieve greater heights in whatever activity is their core interest. And guess what kind of testimonial video we need to send? We need to find that girl or guy who is a rock star athlete in the community that praises your studio. And if you don't have any rock star athletes in your community that go to your studio, find one and sponsor them with free lessons, okay? Nothing is more powerful than a local case study of somebody that's known. Another main interest could have been weight loss, okay? We want to communicate to this audience delicately, but we can't completely beat around the bush. The point is a great way to lose weight is to do yoga. So tell them about that. Mix up the way you tell them about that. You can start by saying the average class burns this many calories. Sure. Did you know that people who take yoga are this much more likely to start eating better? Here are the things we suggest you eat on a regular basis. Here's a great website for nutritional recommendations. Maybe have a testimonial of someone that goes to your studio that's not shy to say, hey, here's a picture of what I looked like a year ago, and here's what I look like today, and I feel great. And if you're sitting there reading this email right now, and you're thinking about maybe doing it or maybe not, just take the plunge, get off the couch, and come down and hang out with us. This is a great place, and you'll meet some great people who all understand what it's like to go through that transformation. It has to be personal. So these are the kinds of things we need to build the list based on. Lastly, the most important thing, we have to build our email list based on a timeline that you have enough content for. Okay, so this is what I mean by that. An example would be send an email out. You can program a system to say, okay, let's send it out once a week for 8 weeks. All right, so they come into your studio, they don't come back. In that week, they get one email. The next week, they get another, up to 8 times. And then from there, they just receive your monthly newsletter. That's pretty much kind of as soft as we want to go. Anything less than that, we'll talk about that later. But in order to deliver that, you'd really only need somewhere between 16 and 32 emails. Wow, I can't write that many. Yes, you can. Trust me. Do you need to get it done in one day? No. Chip away at it. Chip away at it. And the reason why I say you have to do this at some point is because you already kind of are. You already are writing an email from time to time to students. You're already calling students from time to time. So why not take the time to think of the best possible things you could communicate to people and put them to the side so you don't have to do it anymore. Once it's done, you've got like this 24/7 communicator in your back end helping you out, sending out the messages that should go to people when they need to get them. It's so critical to get it done. All right, I know it's not fun to think about how am I going to compose all these emails and get them stored for auto sending, but it's something that once you get it done, you'll be so glad you did it. All right, treat it like laundry. Do it once a week if you have to. A better timeline would be twice a week for 4 weeks and then once a week for 4 weeks and then put them on your monthly newsletter. All right, why? Well, they're still in active mode. They're not a passive person yet if they've just come to your studio. So hitting them up every 3 days is not really annoying as long as the message is mixed up and there's some quality content in there that's specific to their situation. All right? So think about that. That would be putting together roughly 12 emails for each type of person that could come to you. All right? Based on how they heard of you and what their main interests are. And at the bottom there, I'm begging you, please, 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 if you can't do any of these things, at least send out a monthly newsletter to every single email address you have. That's the bare minimum. You have to keep people thinking about you. All right? Even if your newsletter is just simply to send them to your Facebook page, whatever it is, send something out every month. You have to. You have to keep yourself in people's minds so that they're always aware of what you're up to, and you can start to radiate that energy from your studio as a positive nucleus in the community. That's the type of perception we need to create. And as you know, in North America, it's usually a case of out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so let's just say we're collecting the information and we're storing it. We've taken the big plunge of creating all those automated follow-ups and we've got them in sequence. Now we need to analyze and refine, okay? Now before I talk about analyzing and refining the emails, I think it's a good idea to ask yourself, what is creating the drop-ins in the first place, okay? We're going to have them, but let's get to the source at the same time that we're working on, the day-to-day resolution. So let's break it down. Where are the drop-ins coming from? Okay, what is the marketing source that is creating the most amount of drop-ins? Is it your website? Is it your referrals? Is it your Facebook page? Is it just people walking by? Figure it out, guys. You have to figure it out. If the people who are being referred to your studio are constantly only taking one class and bouncing on you, then maybe we just need to figure out a better way to create a sexier referral system for your school. Maybe you give your students the opportunity to refer a friend, and if they come down, it's for a minimum of 3 classes where they get a great deal on a yoga mat instead of referring them and letting them take drop-ins. Okay? If your website is creating all the drop-ins, change the offer on the website. One class is not enough to allow someone to create a commitment to themselves. You guys know that. All right? I love rock climbing. If I only go once, is that going to get me to the position where I'll commit to going all the time? Is that going to get me to a point just arbitrarily that I will be able to take an hour out of my week? No, we're busy. This is the world of ADD right now, and people forget things. So we have to find ways to get them to come down more than just once. So figure out where the drop-ins are coming from most often and change it up. Also, what are the people interested in? Okay, what I mean by this is, let's just say you take a look at it, and people who come down who put on that little guest form or on your insurance waiver, they mention the reason they're coming down is for weight loss. Now let's say those people are on a 90% basis signing up for 10 passes or a 1 month unlimited or whatever. Okay, well, we know we've got a strong conversion ratio for that demographic, that demographic of people who are coming down for weight loss. But what about the other interests? If people that are coming down for cross-training are taking one class and bouncing on you and never coming back, well, then we need to just kind of start understanding why that is. Maybe our teachers need to do a better job to communicate the benefits of yoga for more than just one specific group of people in the class. Maybe we just need to have a weekly meeting with all the people that are cross-training. Invite them to come down for half an hour and call it yoga for cross-training. I don't know. I'm a martial artist at trade, and one of the most popular things I'm seeing is yoga for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you've ever seen a Jiu-Jitsu match, they need to be flexible. Maybe you can do a cross-promotion with a local martial arts school, but figure out a way to improve the retention of people coming to you for cross-training, because it's a huge, huge opportunity for your studio. We could talk about all the different interests, but you get the point. What we're really talking about here is understanding the niche within the niche, okay? Wellness and yoga itself is a niche market, but your studio is a niche within it. What is your studio known for particularly? Who are the people who stick around the longest? Okay, understand that. And once you understand that, make the decision if you like it or if you'd like to change that. Some studio owners are perfectly okay with being a yoga studio that only has a strong teacher training program. They're okay to have very little students and a lot of teachers being pumped out every year. Why? The money is good. You don't have to work with as many people. I don't know. If you're okay with that, all good. But at least understand that that's your situation. If your yoga studio is known as a place that people come to lose weight and you're cool with it, that's great. But if you find through looking at this information that you're really kind of capturing only one group of the community and not the others that you would really like to influence and work with, then it's time to make a change. The artwork on your website, the way you communicate on the window of your studio, the kinds of workshops you're offering, all of these things can play a role in helping you adjust to bring in that group that you're not currently hitting. And please, avoid marketing with your instincts, all right? I'm a huge believer in aligning your energy with the universe and asking for the things that you would like to receive and all that great stuff. It's very powerful. But when it comes to marketing, meaning spending your time or your money, our instincts are not the way to go. We have to make logical decisions, not emotional decisions. An example, here's just a screenshot of a system here, PerfectMIND Yoga, and what it breaks down is where people heard of us. All right, there's tons of reports in here that help us understand where are we actually getting our interest from. So that way we can make the decisions on what marketing needs to be cut and what marketing should get more attention. Okay. Now, outside of understanding the source of where your drop-ins are coming from, I mean, we can't stop it immediately. So in the meantime, there's a day-to-day resolution or a week-to-week resolution, which is taking a look at how are the email follow-ups performing, okay? So here are the things I want you to take a look at. First off, are people even opening them? It doesn't matter what type of email system you use, as long as you use something better than Microsoft Outlook, okay? Constant Contact, Aweber, PerfectMIND, doesn't matter. All these email systems can tell you how many people open them when you send it out. Now, I have another webinar. If you want, you can email me. I'll send you the recording. We've got another webinar all about email subject lines and what kinds of things to put in an email subject to increase your open rate, how you should look when you send your emails. Is it your first and last name, or is it the name of your studio? I mean, last time I checked, a facility is not able to send an email. So people are usually not going to open one from a facility or from a business name. It has to be from a person. So we can't dive into that, but we do have more information if you're interested. Outside of people are opening them or not, because that's the first place you look, we want to know, is anyone responding? Good, bad, or no response at all? If you're getting a good response from people, example, thank you, or could you provide me more information about blank, or hey, this is really good, what time is your next class at on Thursdays for this particular type of yoga? Whatever it is, all right, cool, don't change anything, keep doing it. Print that email out and you know, put it up somewhere in your office as a reminder that this stuff works and to keep doing it. Bad responses, stop emailing me, stop bothering me. I hated your article, I hated your video. Hey guys, that's still good because it means somebody is reading the stuff you're sending out, but you just need to adjust your content or you need to adjust your timeline. If you're getting no response at all, again, adjust your timeline. You need to send more frequently and adjust your content. It's got to be more engaging. All right, if you're sending nothing but text emails, I can tell you right now, you're going to want to do videos. So if you can, get to videos right away. If you can't make your own videos, find some on YouTube that aren't produced by another studio in your area and use those. And just say, hey, this video really helps capture the kinds of things that we're offering at our studio. Tell me what you think. You could just put a link right in there. You can even see if they click on it. All right? But I would heavily recommend you start your own YouTube channel. It's free. And put up a video once a week and send that video out. Get your views up. It will help your search positioning on the internet. And also, most importantly, is anyone coming back? Okay? And here's the big point. If drop-in memberships, drop-in passes comprise 20% of your sales or more, meaning if 1 in 5 people coming through your doors is just buying a single class pass or more, you may just have to get on the phone until you can change that. Because as you know, not every email is going to get opened. You can try a mobile marketing service and do SMS. We do provide that, but that's a whole other thing to learn, and you may not be ready for something like that right now. You might just want to get on the telephone and just reach out. And all you need is a really basic telephone script. And no, the script is not something you read. It's just some bullet points of things to cover. People can tell when you're reading, so don't read on the phone to people. Call them up, ask them how they're doing, and find out if you can extract enough information to make an offer for them to come back in the next 24 to 72 hours. All right? Even if you have to offer a free second class to get them back down, the fixed costs of your studio aren't going to change. The most expensive thing about a studio is when it's empty. So offering a free class for a second timer to come down is not a bad idea if you need to do it from time to time. Take an interest in the people who took an interest in you. Okay? Be personable. So at this time, I would love to open up to any questions you may have. All right? My goal of this webinar was to cover off collecting information, putting it into a system, giving people a great first-time experience with personal attention with a post-class interview. And in the event you can't do that or that doesn't work for you, at least have a series of automated emails that are personalized enough to reach out and engage people to come back down. So at this point, please type in your questions into the chat box. And at the bottom, you can also email me if you don't feel like chatting right now. You can give us a call or find me on Facebook and add me and send me a message through Facebook. Love to get to know you a little bit better. Wow, 30 drop-ins a week, 10 drop-ins a week. This is definitely something I hope that you can implement then. While we're waiting for questions to be typed in, I also have a short little presentation of the PerfectMIND software, just a couple screenshots, probably take about 3 minutes, and then we'll go into that right after the questions if any of you are interested in learning a little bit more about what we offer and the kinds of technology that we work so hard to provide something that's going to simplify all of this for you. No questions yet, so either I did an extremely horrible job or I did an extremely great job. If we can get any feedback, it'd be appreciated. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come join us. Really appreciate it. While we're waiting for questions to be typed in, just pass the screen back to me and I'll go through the quick little demo. Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate it. So while we're waiting for the questions to come in, I'm just going to quickly get through a couple screens here. I wanted to warn you, this is a little bit of a plug for our product. It's definitely not our intention to host webinars and turn them into a pitch fest. That's definitely not our intention. But at the end of each webinar, we typically get a lot of questions on how can people simplify implementing the information we provide, and it's just our opinion that our product is a great way to do that. So without further ado, I'll just quickly cover some things. So how can we help? Here is a screen where you can store the info that people put on those insurance waivers or on your guest registry form. And we've got a couple arrows there. You might not be able to read it, but it can easily store how people heard of you, if they have any medical conditions, what their birth date is, their main interest in coming down to your studio, the last time they purchased that drop-in, what date it was, how long ago, the last time they were in the studio, and the date they were created. So that way, we can create that sequence of emails that will go out based on all this information on autopilot, so we don't have to think about it once it's set up. Here's an example of programming a list. It's really easy, and our trainers will basically do most of it for you in the first training session. So here you can see the member was created 2 days ago. So what that means is 2 days from the day they come in, I'm just going to send them a light reminder talking about how it was awesome to have them come down, and here's some information about why you may want to come back down again. Or here's a video from some of our students that came and had their lives changed as a result. We can see heard of us by is by referral. So these are the ones we can send the more intimate messages to. And the subject of the message, or the overall tone, the theme, is around the benefits of yoga specifically to weight loss. So typically you would put together maybe 5 or 6 of these lists, 3 of these lists, anything you can do to make it more personal, all right? And yes, the more information you collect, the more specific you can be in the email. So play with what you're comfortable with. You can start really light or you can start really thorough. Usually you'll end up migrating the other direction just a little bit until you find your comfort zone for what kind of content you can produce on a regular basis. Here's an example of how we make the emails personalized. Okay, we've got a really rich graphic editor that's super easy to use. It's like using a regular email program or using Microsoft Word, no different. And then in there, in each and every single one of the emails you send out, you can have what's called merge information. So things like their name, the kind of interest they had, the actual date they first came by. So you can say intelligent things like, hey, can you believe it's already been 2 weeks since we last saw you? That kind of stuff. You can put this not only in the body of the email, but also in the subject line. So that way when they get the email in their inbox, you're already creating that personal vibe. Then inside the emails, if we're not really ready to send out a bunch of videos, you can still point them to other places. For example, we provide custom Facebook page designs where we can help you make your Facebook page a lead generator and an interest generator, and most importantly, a conversation generator. We do custom designs, we do the Like Us for Full Access, and all kinds of great things to spice up that Facebook page. Also, when we're talking about mixing up the special offers and giving them a deadline, what you can do is simply update your online store that we provide. It's ridiculously easy to manage this thing, and at any time you can add new passes, remove the passes, change the icon and say, limited time offer, all that kind of stuff. I know it sounds cheesy to say limited time offer or offer expires on this date, but the reason why so many companies are still doing it is because it works. Deadlines get everybody moving. I wish I could say people would just move based on their own initiative, but you know and I know that that doesn't even work, not even for ourselves. Also, another place you might want to send them to is just simply back to your website. Okay? If your website's got strong lead capture and decent information on it, why not send them back there once in a while? Provide a quick little article, mention your comments and say, you love this article because of why, and what are their thoughts right back. In the meantime, check out our website. We provide websites specific for yoga studios. They're extremely affordable, and the one thing that we focus on when we build websites is making it so that you can maintain it without having to rely on anyone. There's nothing worse than wanting to put up a couple photos or wanting to change the date on a workshop or needing to put up that your classes are closed for the winter break, whatever it is, and then having to call someone to do it for you. No, that's not how it works. You can edit these websites without any experience necessary. And just like most popular software programs that offer you online booking for lessons, ours does the same thing, but one thing we like to do is provide people with an opportunity to share it with others. We've got a really cool system built in that automatically will reward students for sharing their passes with other people. And if other people buy them, you can actually say, okay, each time someone refers another person who buys a pass, give them $10 towards their next purchase, if you wish. Or just let them share it on their own goodwill without any reward for doing so. But I recommend involving some kind of reward. Share this and get $10 off your next pass, or share this and get a free yoga mat, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's it. That's the product demo. Thank you so much again. Please contact us anytime if you just want to chat about your studio. We're super low pressure here, not really in any hurry to earn your business, but we would definitely like to get to know you better. And if you do want a quick product demo, then please don't hesitate to give us a call. You can visit our website at the top there. I would love to hear from you by email, and if you want to get social, that's my Facebook URL. Just click on that and add me as a friend. It'd be great to get to know all of you. My name's John Malik, representing Perfect Mind Yoga, and I'm signing off. Thanks again for coming, and we hope to hear from you soon.